So starting over as a complete beginner and starting over with the empty bar when I was pain free, that was the biggest thing. And people that have squatted world records before, like I had multiple people that maybe even just lifted at an average level or a beginner level. Those people have the hardest time, it seems, taking some time out from underneath the bar and addressing their weak points and getting better. That's why you see these people that get a little bit better, then they're posting their lifting again for after a week or two, then they're hurt again, and they're like, I don't know why my back hurts. I don't have any idea. You're not letting it heal.
Yeah, that balance, because I mean that's a key of programming, anyways. But it's the same, it's just on a different timeline for these different tissues and body structures. It's finding what that balance, that cruising altitude is of enough stress to get the adaptation you want without so much stress that you physically can't recover. And we always fixate on muscles because that's what's moving the weight. And it's like muscles recover so quickly that recovery curve, it's high frequency. But when you're talking about, like you said, bones with microfractures, you're talking about tendons, you're talking about trauma on connective tissue, which, I mean, that's a pain in the ass for me because you get these tissues that don't get blood flow. I mean, a bad tendon injury takes longer to heal than a bone break. And if you're not allowing enough time so that those systems can like reform themselves, like you said, come back stronger than ever, it makes sense that it's just going to accumulate over time until boom, something happens. And in my end, I know you just suffered a bicep tear recently. Bicep tears are like the initiation for strongman. Like you can't call yourself a strongman unless you popped your bicep. Like I did mine on a tire flip. Guys do it on stone loads and axle cleans all the time. And it's one thing is like, okay, this is a shitty movement to try and test maximal strength on. But the other one is, how much wear did I do? How much lack of attention did I give to those structures over so many years? And then I just went and tried to pull as hard as I could, with like a supinated grip on an axle. It's like, yeah, something's going to go wrong. And you see a lot of, especially in my division, you get a lot of guys that have these meteoric rises that walk around 240 and lean and jack to the tits. And once they start standing out, it's like I heard you say those 8 contests you did in 1 year. I can't even wrap my head around that. But I know guys that go boom, boom, boom. They got ASM and then Worlds and then they got the Arnold and then they want to be under the spotlight every chance they get, and they get this meteoric rise and then bam, done. You're out of commission because you just did not have a break to let your body heal and recover. So you might actually have a rigid structural base you could build off of in the future. And it's just like, it's so routine. It's predictable. I mean, you can almost follow somebody through the beginning of their career and then be like, you got about 6 months, dude, before something's popping, something's breaking, and you're going to have to humble yourself and rediscover what it is to build yourself from the ground up.
Yeah, doesn't apply to outliers either.
So
doesn't apply. Outliers are not part of the equation because they're the exception, not the rule.
And you're talking about the guys that are super durable, right? That seem like they can do anything and not fall apart. For all we talk about predisposition as far as muscle fiber type and leverages and tendon insertions and all that, I never hear people really address that fact with these superhero type lifters that in 2 years go from being whatever to setting world records and they seem indestructible. And it makes sense that there would be some outlier who's a little more resilient to injury, but it's almost like that to see whether you're in the Bulgarian system in Olympic weightlifting or whether you're training Westside, you're maxing every week. It's like the guys that can hang with that, not fall apart. It's like you're going to be good no matter what tools you're working with. But yeah, that's such a rare type. For the rest of us, we're the ones that get beaten up and thrown out in the trash.
Yeah, and I think other than the errors that I've made with my back, I did tear my bicep off right before that big squat I did last year. But I mean, there's not many powerlifters that have stayed in 22 years like I was able to do, and hit 3 all-time world records over 3 different decades. I was 6, 11, and 20. I don't think there's been, maybe Ed Cohn has done that. There's not too many people in the world that's ever done that over three different decades. So I've always gotten the fact that you needed to back off and not push all the time. So I wasn't a big proponent of training to failure, but my squat was so strong, my deadlift was strong, and I was chasing after world records for so long. I ignored a lot of the things that I knew I shouldn't have. But as you were talking about earlier, bone takes about 5 days to heal. Okay. Muscles could be like, 24 hours, maybe less, maybe more, depends on what drugs you're doing or supplements you're doing, or who your parents are, or how lucky you are, and how good you rest. You sleep really well. You get a lot of REM sleep. You taking growth hormone. I mean, there's a lot of different things. Do you work? Do you have stress? Like, there's a lot of things you got to consider there. You might have someone, and we're talking generally speaking, not just bone, but recovery. You might have someone that has 5 kids at home and works 2 jobs, and they're still trying to push and follow their dream as a strong man. And then you have someone who lives in their parents' basement that gets 5 meals cooked for them a day and they have no stress. They're probably going to recover a little bit better than the person with the 5 kids that's running kids all the time and doesn't have the money to pay for the drugs and the supplements and everything. So there's a lot of variables there when people try to isolate arguments online and say, this doesn't work, or that doesn't work, or there's so many factors, and if you haven't been around the game for a long time, in strength training, helping people rebuild, seeing people rise, seeing people fall, you'll see when you do it long enough what you don't understand, what you don't know. The Donning-Kruger is very, very big right now in powerlifting, because powerlifting it exploded about 10 years ago, and so I see these people that have been competing for 4 or 5 years. I just laugh. I said, that's cute. You're doing good right now, but we were doing that 15 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this new concept we have, no, I don't really think it is.